Now I'd like to introduce our speaker, Cyndi McAuley. Many of you remember 2 years ago, we had the opportunity to get a district community grant for therapeutic living centers for the blind, where we helped build a children's library and stock it with books. And we got to that organization through Larry Barsman, who's an old friend of mine who's been on the board there for many years. And through that relationship, we met Cyndi, who's the executive director. Cyndi's been the executive director since March 2010. She joined Therapeutic Living Centers in 2001 to assist with program development, and she became associate director in 2004. Prior to that, she worked for 17 years as an independent recreation therapy consultant, primarily training direct care staff. She received her Master's of Science in Recreation and Leisure Studies from California State University, Northridge, so another Valley connection, where she was previously on the faculty teaching classes in therapeutic recreation. Hey, Cyndi, would you come up and tell us a little bit about therapeutic living centers?
Sure. Not because of the technology of being able to video and edit, but because 50 years ago, people with developmental disabilities typically lived in state institutions. In California, they're developmental centers. But there was no opportunity to live in the community. The average lifespan for someone with a developmental disability was 30 to 35 years old. And they didn't have friends, they didn't have a choir, they didn't really get out into a pool. And that is something that I think is very important to remember as we talk today. TLC was founded in 1975, so we just celebrated our 40th anniversary. I haven't been there 40 years, but I've been there about half of that through different capacities. We were started by 8 families who literally knew that their children did not belong in a state institution. One of our primary founders went around the community to determine what would be the best place for her son when he became an adult. She didn't think he should live at home all the time. He should be like the other people in the neighborhood who moved out and lived on their own. And so she searched around, and when she couldn't really find anything for him, she went to the State Developmental Center, toured it, and really thought, you know, okay, this is it. I don't have any other options. This is where he's going to live for the rest of his life. And as she walked out, and I had the pleasure of knowing her, but as she walked out of the state hospital, one of the nurses came running up to her and said, "Don't put your son here." And she said, "Okay, well, you can tell me that, but now what am I supposed to do?" And if you knew Bunny Perlman, you would know that that's exactly what she said. Okay, so fine, this isn't going to work, now what do I do? And she and these 7 other families literally pooled their resources and purchased a small convalescent hospital in Pasadena. And that's how TLC started. Many of those 8 original clients are still there. We honored them at our 40th birthday party. or has limited vision, there are so many things that they miss. They miss seeing their mom smile at them. They miss understanding that there are things beyond darkness, that there are toys, that there are people, that there's food, that people have different things that they bring to a child, whether it's mom with a plate of food, whether it's a doctor wanting to do a test. If you don't have vision, you miss a lot, and you miss a lot of those cues when you're a baby in terms of learning. So I'm going to ask you, if you'll be brave and trust me, close your eyes for a second. So you hear a conversation in the other room. You can open them. Thank you. You hear a conversation in the other room. There's nobody really walking in this room, but if we left it quiet for a little while, you'd start hearing more. Conversation was predominant. There's music playing. You might hear the person next to you breathing. A lot of different things can happen that babies don't get automatically if they're visually impaired. 85% of brain development occurs by the age of 3. So there's a real push right now to help parents understand they need to talk to their babies. They need to read to their babies. And they need to generally engage. This is all part of learning. And when you're talking about someone with a visual impairment, and in addition a developmental disability, which could be autism, cerebral palsy, an intellectual disability, or a seizure disorder, those all impact a child's ability to learn. So our early intervention team makes a point of getting to families as soon as they can. The youngest person that we've worked with is 4 weeks old, and our team went into a neonatal intensive care unit to help the family transition home. Our oldest resident at TLC in our group homes is 74 years old. And it was hard to see on the video, but he and his girlfriend have been together for 10 years. And actually probably closer to 20 now that I really think about it. Our goal is to create an environment where people thrive, from the youngest baby to the oldest adult. One of the things we're able to do in our residential program is to provide hospice services. Years ago, that wasn't possible. Licensing said, no, these homes cannot allow an individual to stay at the end of their life. And in the past 10 years, that thinking has changed, and agencies like TLC are allowed to do that. So we are about to start our 4th hospice case at TLC, which on the one hand is sad, but on the other hand, if you stop and think that a person with disabilities has lived in a home for 25 or 30 years, and they become ill, and they suddenly have to move into a boarding care or a skilled nursing facility, it's a huge difference, and they're sick. So this is somebody who's not feeling well and is now forced to move and live with people who don't recognize their needs, who don't remember that their favorite song is Puff the Magic Dragon. And to be able to do this, honestly, for me, is one of the best things that we can do. To work with children at the very beginning of their lives and follow them through the course of their life and offer end-of-life care when possible. Sometimes we can't. Depending on what is recommended in terms of their treatment and palliative care, there are occasions where we're not able to help. But boy, every chance that we have where it's something that we believe we can do and work well with the family, that's something that we consider to be very important. But going back to the beginning of this, so this is Gisela. And when Gisela came to TLC, she was 2 years old. Her mom would go to the doctor and say, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with my daughter. I don't know what it is. She's not walking. She's not crawling. When we go to the grocery store, she screams. If I put her in the car, she screams. There's something wrong. And the doctor kept saying, no, no, no. And finally, her mom kept pushing and kept pushing. And the doctor said, well, she must be autistic. She screams when she goes out. She's not developing normally. She's got to be autistic. That got her into the regional center system. The regional center called us. Now, please be very clear on this. We do not cure autism. And somebody asked me that question one time, so now I just bookmark this and say, there is no cure for autism. You can adapt things for behaviors. We do not cure autism. And I say that because when Gisela came to us, we started working with her and her family. And some of the things we did were help her understand, help her mom understand when she goes outside, Gisela, we're going outside. Listen for these sounds. If you hear birds, if you hear cars, if you hear X, Y, or Z, you're outside. Now we're going to get in the car. Here's what the car sounds like when it starts. It beeps. She didn't want to explore the environment because she couldn't see it. And if you think back to the moment when you weren't looking, when I asked you to close your eyes, think about if you had to get up and move around the room. I'm guessing most of you wouldn't. But maybe you're adventurous. Gisela was not adventurous. Gisela was petrified. And we literally started with her with a little device made out of PVC pipe. It's like a child's walker. It's the easiest way to describe it. And Gisela is now in the 3rd grade. She's 8 years old. She was one of the first little girls we worked with. She is a confident student. She is brilliant socially. She's a lot of fun to talk to. And that was really the first person we ever worked with. But, you know, each child is different. And each child has a different story. I'm going to share one more video. And I'm hoping I got the volume right. I apologize for the loud volume on the first one. But Kieran was born full term. Mom had a typical pregnancy. She went to the hospital because she'd started labor and had a cardiac emergency. So she was rushed upstairs. They did a C-section. Kieran was born not breathing. And his mom, Michelle, had coded twice during the course of him being delivered. So his dad will tell you that when this happened, he literally did not know whether to stay with his wife or go with his child to Children's Hospital. And the decision really was made for him because the doctor said, you know, we're going to do everything we can to save your son, but we really don't think he's going to survive. So stay here with your wife. And that's what he did. Kieran was in our program for a couple of years, and I will let his parents tell you.
Here at Chelsea, the children's program has been instrumental in helping us get ahead, physically, mentally, emotionally, for Kieran and myself. They've been more than just therapists. They've been a family. They, there is nothing that I wouldn't do to help them because they've given me so much help and support in the last 2 years.
I'll be able to look back 15, 20 years from now and go, you know what? He's where he's at because we did everything we could. And part of it is somebody mentioned earlier about one of the doctors we talked to said, well, you know, what are your future plans? And we'll save it for college for him.
So in essence, the sooner we're able to work with a family, the sooner we can make a difference for the whole family. Because we do work with the whole family. We work with the children directly with our occupational therapists, our physical therapists, our speech therapists, our early educators, whatever the child needs. And then we work with the families so that they're implementing what's going on with their child. We have a family group that we offer on a quarterly basis, and parents come and participate in the family group. And for some families, folks that are similar to them, who have children with similar needs and are trying to find resources in the community, it's a huge opportunity. For other parents, there's the added bonus. We partner with, it used to be LA Diaper Drive, and it became Baby Buggy, and it's an organization that was founded by Jerry Seinfeld's wife. And the purpose of the diaper drive, and Baby Buggy has a much broader purpose, but we utilize the partnership to give diapers to families. Diapers are expensive. I had no idea. It's been a long time. But so if they participate in a family group, and this is Diaper Drive's rule, if they participate in a family group, then they are able to get diapers. So there's no charge. And the dual benefit is that families are participating, are socializing with peers, their children are socializing, so everyone really has an opportunity to benefit from this program. One of the last things I want to say about the early intervention piece is there was a RAND study done a number of years ago, and for every dollar spent on early intervention, $17 is saved throughout the course of it. $17 for each dollar spent is saved throughout the child's educational lifetime. And then, as I said at the beginning, 50 years ago, none of this was done. None of this was really possible. And we have had an opportunity to help develop within a system of service. And truly, our mission of providing lifespan care has finally been realized with the addition of our children's programs, our birth to 5 programs. We started a preschool, and it's growing slowly. We have 6 students. So the family groups come and utilize the library. The children in the preschool go over to the library, and it's a nice little adventure to go across the parking lot, or not across the playground. Thinking of the parking lot, across the playground. So, in essence, those 8 families that started TLC 40 years ago have made all of this, their dream, our reality. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, I was going to ask you how our library's working out, but
The library's working out great.
Good.
No, it's working out really well. It gets used. Some of our adults are going over and using it as well. And for them, it's a little bit more of a field trip. They drive because they have to go around. So we put them in the van.
And is the Children's Center all finished now?
It is all finished.
We should come back and take a look. Huh?
Yes. Actually, it's got one more step. We are putting a shade structure over the playground. So that's the last piece. Yeah.
I know that you have a lot of specialization that you need, but what sorts of opportunities might there be for volunteers to assist somehow with your residents?
You know, we've got a couple of volunteers that do a birthday club for 2 of the houses. We have volunteers that are working in our art classroom during the day. We have we're still working out the details on the children's program in terms of volunteers. We think what we're going to end up doing is having a reading room activity so that they go to the library and somebody could volunteer and read stories. Those are the primary service, individual related volunteer opportunities. Of course, we're always looking for painters, and that's not the fun part. So, yeah, but those are the primary ones working directly with clients. Yes?
Do you provide schooling at your facilities, or do they get bused to a school?
Our preschool is the only educational program we have. We have a day program for adults, and that serves 18 to 75, 76 years old. And that program has a computer lab, music therapy, an art class, a gardening class. So the adults, once they hit 22, age out of school. Some families pull their children out sooner, so we do have a couple of 18 and 19-year-olds in our day program, but typically they start the day program at 22, so they're still attending public school. moved in that are 19 and 20 years old that are still attending school, and then yes, the bus picks them up and takes them to whether it's Leachman or Miller or whatever school is most appropriate. Hmm?
Do you partner with the health group at all?
We, yes and no. We have a couple of students that are, 9 years old that we go in and provide services for.
One more question?
Are all your residents and clients sight impaired?
Most of them are. All but 3 of the residential clients have some degree of visual impairment. Our day program is community-based, so it draws from a catchment area. And so if someone's appropriate for our program and is sighted, we will take them in. And honestly, that works really well because they're helping each other. So you're gaining that degree of self-confidence and understanding among people with different kinds of disabilities. Preschool is the same way. Our goal, we have an inclusive preschool. Our goal is to have it 50-50, 50% children with